Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Can everybody hear me? Hear me, hear me, hear me? Yes, perfect. Thank you. Aloha and good evening. My name is Christian De Quevedo. I am the chair of the Kahala Waiʻalae Neighborhood Board. Thank you all so much for showing up. We have quorum this evening, which means we're going to be getting some good business done tonight, which is my favorite way to get things done. Let's just start rolling. Let's jump right into it. All right, first up, the Honolulu Fire Department, representative of the Honolulu Fire Department.
Aloha, my name is Anthony Wingler from the acting captain from the Kamiki Fire Station. And
Evening, Captain Wangler. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Excellent. Doing excellent. Thank you so much for asking. Let's hear what's going on.
Okay, I will provide the monthly statistics for February. Okay, for fires, we had 0 structure, 0 wildland or brush fires, 0 nuisance fires. Nuisance fires are rubbish fires outside a structure or a vehicle. We didn't have any cooking fires. We had 3 activated alarms with no fire. For emergencies, we had 48 medical emergency responses. We had 1 motor vehicle collision with a pedestrian, 5 motor vehicle collisions, 0 mountain rescues, 0 ocean rescues, and 0 hazardous material incidents. Safety tip for the month is concerning smoke alarms. So smoke alarms are crucial for saving lives and play a key role in a home fire escape plan. When installed properly and maintained correctly, they provide early alerts, giving occupants the chance to evacuate quickly. So install smoke alarms in every bedroom, outside each separate sleeping area, like a hallway, and on each level of a home. You should test your smoke alarms at least once a month by pushing the test button. If you can hear the beep, you know it's working.
Captain Wangler?
Yes.
Sorry, can you repeat everything that you just said for the last 15 seconds? We just lost audio, but we got you back now.
Okay, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so did you hear the smoke fire safety tip for the month is smoke alarms? Okay, I'll read that again. So smoke alarms are crucial for saving lives and play a key role in home fire escape plan. When installed properly and maintained correctly, they provide early alerts, giving occupants the chance to evacuate quickly. Install smoke alarms in every bedroom, outside each separate sleeping area, like a hallway, and on each level of the home. You should test smoke alarms at least once a month by pushing the test button and hearing the beep. Replace smoke alarms when they are 10 years old or stop responding when you test them. And that is all I have to report. Can I ask if there's any questions?
I've got 2 quick questions for you. One, do you know where the location of that automotive accident was that collided with the pedestrian?
Let me see. I can find that out and look it up and get back to it with you guys.
I would appreciate that. Thank you very much. And then 48 medical responses. Is that an unusually high number?
I think that's
if you don't have the information in front of you, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but I think daily our ladders initially respond, and they average like about 3 to 5 a day.
Okay. All right, awesome.
And then if the ladder is unavailable or on a call, then they'll dispatch the engine. So that's how it works for that one. Yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you for educating us. Does anybody on the board have any questions? Anybody in the community have any questions for the gentleman from HFD? All right, perfect. Well, Captain, thank you so much for your time this evening. A pleasure. You have a great evening.
Thank you. I will get back with you on the that auto pedestrian.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha. All right. Up next, representative from the Honolulu Police Department is Lieutenant Nakamura here.
Hi, aloha, Lieutenant Taro Nakamura from HPD. Let's see, these are stats for February as compared to the previous month. Let's see, motor vehicle thefts were 9 as compared to 6. Burglaries went down 3 as compared to 6. Thefts in general went down 7 as compared to 21. And UEMVs, which is theft from auto, went down, let's see, 4 as compared to 14. This is out of total calls of service of 5,746 for the district. And further statistical information can be found at honolulupd.org. And our safety tip for the month is it's just a friendly reminder. It's the Hawaii's move over law. If you see, especially like a fire truck or a police car, the ambulances, if you see them working, we have our lights on, say at a house fire or at a traffic accident. Whenever possible, please move over one lane over to help prevent any unnecessary or just tragic kind of accidents to the responders that are trying to take care of that scene. Yeah, and that also includes the tow truck drivers that are on the state highways. So it's just a friendly reminder, if you can, at all possible, move over one complete lane. If you cannot, at least slow down, just check out what's going on, and just try to hug the opposite side as much as possible to go around that workspace. So give the guys some space to work. And that's our safety tip for the month.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Lieutenant. When Rich and I were walking up the stairs this evening, we were commenting on the amount of drivers that we've been seeing on their phones and sort of the negligent driving that we've kind of been seeing in our community. Anything that, any resources that could help the HPD to sort of crack down on that? Anything we can do to help bring attention other than the ceaseless asking of the community, please stop looking at your phones while we're driving?
Yeah. Yeah. In this day and age, it seems like our whole universe is going through that cell phone. But
Oh, God.
unfortunately, we can't be on our cell phones when we're driving. That is a violation. From time to time, we do have specific programs especially during the summer months, where the specialized like traffic detail and patrol, even, they're going to go out and make special enforcements on certain issues. 1 month might be cell phones. There's nothing more tragic than getting in an accident. Why did you get in the accident? Because I was on the phone and I was texting, or I dropped my phone and I jerked the steering wheel and I ran over somebody. That's really sad and stupid, if you ask me. But we do take continuing enforcement action on people not only driving, but also when you're crossing the sidewalk. You shouldn't be on your phones either, because that's just a safety measure. Just in case, as a pedestrian, yes, you're in the sidewalk. Yes, you might have the green, but you need to be aware of the cars that may not see you. Yeah. So safety is the most important thing.
Absolutely. We still do have a few days left of spring break, so if possible, I might request that we might try and get a couple officers, if we have the spare resources, to take a look around, see if we can get some tickets, hopefully get people back on their toes and not feeling so comfortable behind the wheel.
Absolutely. I'll pass that on to my guys.
Thank you very much. Does anybody on the board have questions for Lieutenant Nakamura?
Yes, I'm wondering if you have any statistics on accidents on Halekoa Drive yet?
Halekoa Drive? I didn't, let me just check my mail. I didn't get any back. What was the specific request? From, like, remember the dates and stuff? Because we can actually look it up and I
Well,
can
I'm trying to get
get
it for a
back to
long
you.
period.
Yeah, I can get it back to you in the chat, like, hopefully, in 5-10 minutes. But what was the request again?
I'm just trying to get an idea of how many accidents are on Halekoa Drive, because I know there's been 6 in front of my home in the last 10 years or so.
Holocaust Drive is a
number,
long
so I can-
road. Do you have an area? Did you specify an area?
Yeah, the first mile going up is where most of them are.
The first mile up, and then a time period?
As long as the period you can get. If it, you know, I can get it for 1 year, that's fine.
Actually, you can do that. I'm pretty sure you can do that yourself on honolulupd.org.
On where?
On the honolulupd.org website.
We can do that? Okay, I'll
Yeah,
look at that.
you can look that up.
Okay, I appreciate that. Secondly, I saw in the news there was like close to 400 vacancies in the police department. And I'm wondering if there's anything this board can do to help that situation. Anything you can think of?
Well, we in the police department absolutely appreciate the support that we get from the neighborhood boards. I can't campaign on behalf of the police department because that would be a misuse of my present position. But I can tell you that the staffing shortage is real, and it's unprecedented, the numbers that we have. I would just, I guess, the only thing I can say is if we can keep the conversation going, if you folks, you know, as a neighborhood board, as citizens, can keep the conversation going, that would be highly appreciated. But yes, it's a huge problem.
Yeah, we can continue that with the city council then. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Lieutenant. I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I am about the illegal camping on Kahala Beach. Last week, I did notice that thankfully the green tent, the big green tent, which is just about 50 yards west of Waiʻalae Beach Park, and you know that was occupied by an infamous East Oahu drug dealer. That one is gone.
Mm-hmm.
But now I see another one about 50 yards west of where the first one, the green one, was. If HPD could just patrol that beach a couple of times a day, it's a fun, it's a pleasant stroll, obviously, walking on Kahala Beach. I don't think it would be onerous, but if the HPD could patrol and try to get the occupants of those illegal tents to leave, pull up their tents and go, that would be very much appreciated.
Sure. Is this Mr. Turbin?
Yes.
Sorry, my camera is like really junk. I can't tell who's talking. Yeah. Well, we will continue to make periodic checks, and then if it's more during the day, I'll ask the day watch guys to go down to the park and see if there are any people in the park. I mean, as you know, we've made so many arrests and citations down there. Our role is to write a citation, make an arrest, hopefully work with, if it's on public property, work with the whatever agency that's also involved. But that's going to be for a misdemeanor arrest or a petty misdemeanor or a citation violation. And they can come back the next day. They might come back next day. So if you do see them, please just give us a call. The best way to do it is to call 911 when they're there, right? Right then and there, and we can dispatch somebody, hopefully catch them in the act, and we'll write another citation, and if warranted, yeah. And we will try to continue to encourage people to go different places. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah, we appreciate it, but understand also it's a chronic problem.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Does anybody in the community have any questions from Lieutenant Nakamura from HPD? I think we're all set this evening. Lieutenant, thank you so much for your time. It is greatly appreciated.
Aloha. Take care.
A representative from the Board of Water Supply this evening. The Board of Water Supply. Cup holds no water. On to the next. Do we have anybody interested in filling any vacancies on the board? It's super fun. We're a great group of people. Going once, going twice, and sold. Reports of members' attendance at other meetings. Did anybody hang out without me?
I think it was last week I attended the I forgot the exact name, but it's the guys with EVS or the Environmental Services. They had a community meeting at Booth Park, and I attended that. They gave pretty decent details, more details than the brief meeting presence that they showed here about the upcoming fees that will be increased for our sewer services. So it was just an interesting meeting. Got a little bit more information there. It's pretty much got to happen to the extent that there's a lot of things that needs to be paid for to upgrade our systems related to sewer and some of the infrastructure. But there were about 6 people so there at the meeting, and that's all.
And in your understanding of the presentation, how do we feel about the fee increase? We feel it's fair. We feel it's
You know, that's tough. You can look at the numbers in so many different ways, but it's going to go up tremendously in the bottom line. The first few years, it's going to go up, I think, about 9% a year for the first 4 years, each year, compounded, and then a different percentage thereof for the next few years, up to about 10 years to 2035. Again, it's to cover some expenses that'll come about related to sewers. So fairness, it's tough. There hasn't been an increase since 2016. We can, look at it so many different ways from that standpoint as well. But it's, it's going to cut into the income of people. It's not exactly exciting times for people relative to the economy and such. So I'm sure it's going to affect people so many different ways.
Thank you for that analysis. Appreciate it. On next, elected official reports. Patty Jetty, the governor's representative, emailed me shortly before we walked in this room, said that she was feeling unwell and would be unable to attend. Is there another representative from the governor's office this evening? Right. No governor. Up next, mayor's representative, John Nucci. John, you here this evening?
Aloha, Board Chair De Quevedo, John Nouchi, Deputy Director, City and County of Honolulu's Department of Transportation Services. Good evening to everyone. I have 2 updates for the board today from previous meetings. Our first is related to a request by the residents and board members requesting more police presence in Waiʻalae-Kāhala near Kahala Mall. HPD responded that District 7 East Honolulu patrol officers on both watches made daily checks between January and February in the Waiʻalae-Kāhala area, Kahala Mall parking lots, and the surrounding areas. Unfortunately, did not find, or maybe fortunately, did not find any suspicious activity at the time that they did their observations, but officers will continue to patrol the area and attempt to increase their presence per the board's request. Moving to our next item that we have today, a resident raised concerns about a missing gate next to Wilson Community Park on the southern end of the Waiʻalae-Nui Bridge on top of Waiʻalae-Nui Stream. That was sent to our Department of Facility Maintenance. DFM will schedule a trades crew to inspect the fencing near Malia Street Bridge over Waiʻalae-Nui Stream and address the missing gate as soon as resources are available. So they are aware, the work order is in, and they will be remedying that as soon as they can. I don't have any other updates today, but I will be present in the meeting and to take down anything that the board might come up with and available for questions.
Awesome. Thank you for that succinct summary. Everything good with you? I think last we spoke, family wasn't doing so hot. Just want to make sure, check in, make sure everything's going well.
Yeah, everything's going good. I still pledge to make it out there in person, but I do have some kupuna care things going on right now. So
That's all right.
hopefully
Family comes
sync up,
first,
yeah.
always.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Of course. Does anybody on the board have a question for John Nouchi?
Hey, John, Brian Wong. A quick question. The 311 app service that's used to report things around the neighborhood. Can I ask, what is the expectations of replies on that app? I mean, the expectations, at standpoint is time frame from when it's reported, any type of reply, I guess.
I will take that question back. So I'm going to actually run that by our Department of Information Technology, DIT. I know that we do get a lot of stuff. My department gets a lot of stuff from the 311 app. And I would guess that the response times vary by the department and their capacities, but I don't want to venture that and put that out there as word until I can actually verify that. So if you don't mind, I will ask DIT. Are you interested also in the process of I guess how soon, I mean, when the reply comes in, I'm sorry, when the inquiry is sent from your phone with the pictures and any other accompanying helpful messaging, are you interested in the process also, like how that gets assigned to the department? And I want to get to that expectation of time, but I would guess at this point that each department has different responses.
Yeah, that would be great information to have. Just knowing the process that's involved with that, and I guess I share that. I reported several items on 311, and you're just kind of waiting for some sort of reply beside the canned reply that the system received the information. I would hope that the timeline between when it's reported and when someone, a human being, I guess, actually replies, gets a little shorter to encourage more people to report things around their community. So yeah, it would be great to have that information on the process as well. And as I speak to people in the community, I could share that as well, the expectations.
I can definitely do that. I actually myself, I know we get it assigned out in our department, and I encourage everybody, especially if you're using a mobile device, your expectation is that the response actually comes quicker than it would if you went through some other means. So I appreciate the question, and I'll follow up with some. I'll get some information as to how the process works and what an expected reasonable time is. But like I say, I suspect it may be based on a department and their resources.
Thank you very much.
Do you have any community questions for the mayor's representative? You, sir. Please go up to the microphone, introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Dalen Kam. John, is it, just out of curiosity, is it at all possible that you guys could consider extending Route 80, 82, and Pearl Harbor 6's service to Kahala Mall?
If it's okay, Chair, I don't mind answering that. That is within the purview of my department. Is it okay if I just provide a direct response rather than provide one later?
Yeah, sure.
Please. And what
Okay.
were those routes real quick?
80, 82, and Pearl Harbor 6.
88-2 and Pearl Harbor 6.
Yeah, previously in the past, we did have an express route that serviced the Kahala Mall, so did not stay on that H1 freeway viaduct over Waiʻalae Avenue, but we did have the 80A, which used to service the University of Hawaii at Manoa. That used to go down. We fought pretty hard with residents to keep it servicing Kahala Mall, but after a while, the residents were very persistent, and they didn't feel that they should have the time penalty to traverse on Waiʻalae instead of staying on the freeway just like all the other routes. But we can do an evaluation of what might be appropriate. Maybe one of them could do it. Maybe I'll take that back to our Transportation Mobility Division. I know you're an avid rider, and you generally know what's good for the ridership and for the community. So respectfully, we'll take that back to our Transportation Mobility Division.
Thank you very much.
All right. On the topic of bus routes, John, I recently saw the art that was rolled out on the new buses. and got to say it's looking real good, real nice. It's nice to see something different in the community. So please pass our regards on to the artists who put those together, and also the mayor for helping to implement that program as well.
Will do. If anybody wants to find out more about the art, there are going to be island-wide art installations as part of our City and County of Honolulu's Wahipana exhibit. You can find out more at wahipana.com. I'm actually very proud of the bus. It was done by Corey Kamehana Okala Holt. Tom was a local artist. And we're actually going to be rolling that out to one more bus. In addition, we're also going to attempt to do 2 handy vans. So we'll see more art in our neighborhoods in a mobile fashion.
Well, if we can get even more than that, that would be well received. So thank you. Also, the same art installation, the program has done a exhibit at is it Triangle Park?
That's correct, Triangle Park.
Yep. So Triangle Park. So if you guys have some spare time, please go over there, check it out. It's supposed to be very impactful. And then Peter, Peter Dudgeon? Did you have a question?
Yeah, I did, but how did you know that?
I'm a mind reader.
I have 2 questions. One for the scribe. Does he know I was online at 7:05? And,
yes, I do.
Okay, thanks, Anson. I should have trusted you regardless. Also, I use 311 a lot, and I find that the response time is very good, and I think it's wonderful. I don't know how the heck they managed to do that. So thanks to John or whoever.
Absolutely not me, Peter, but I appreciate that. But I think I do want to follow back with the board just because I suspect that, you know, every department has different levels of staffing, and I think the nature of what your inquiry is on is going to affect, I mean, it's going to have a different time frame of response based on how complicated it is or how many other departments are involved. So I'll come back to the board and we'll get a good answer on that.
Thank you.
Awesome. So no questions for the mayor's representative, or the mayor's representative. Perfect. John, thank you again so much for your time. Greatly appreciate it. I see Tommy Waters is here. We're going to do Tommy real quick, and then we're going to shoot back up. I apologize. We somehow managed to skip Casey Abe of the DOT.
No.
So we'll do Tommy Waters and then, the Department of Transportation.
Okay, aloha members, aloha chair. Nice to see you all. Real quick, in the audience, Kevin Imanaka, my new chief of staff, is there. Wanted to introduce him. If for whatever reason you can't get a hold of me, please reach out to Kevin. Good guy. He lives in Kaimuki, right up the road from you all. Born and raised here. I got 5 quick things I wanted to talk about. Number 1, we're currently going through the budget briefings. The mayor submitted his administration budget and capital improvement budget to the council on March 2nd. We're going through with a fine-tooth comb. You all can watch the hearings online if you like at honolulucitycouncil.org. We recorded them all and we put them up on our website. So if you're interested, all 25 departments, we went through it, marathon sessions last week. We also went through confirmation hearings of the cabinet members, and I'm happy to report that we've gone through just about all of them and approved every one of them, including Department of Transportation Services. We're really happy with Roger Morton and John Nouchi. We think they've done a great job. Sewer fees. Thank you so much for bringing that up. I'm really, really concerned about that. As was mentioned earlier, they haven't been raised since 2016. So now they're going to do 9% a year all the way until it gets to 100%. So if you can imagine what your bill is now, just double that in the next decade. And I'm really concerned about that. So what me and the council are doing is trying to find ways to defray that cost. One of the things that I'm suggesting this year is that we take the vacant positions that have been vacant in the city for longer than 3 years and apply that money. It's about $25 million. Apply that money to the sewer fund. It's only going to get us 1 year though. We got to get creative and think of other ways to do it. The OTAT, the Oahu Transit Accommodation Tax, raises about 100 million a year. The other option is we take half of that and put that towards the sewer fee. Another option, and maybe we can bring it up at another meeting, Chair, but the empty homes tax, kind of controversial, but if you leave your home empty, we're asking you to pay a little bit more or rent it out. The other idea we have is sponsorships. You know, the University of Hawaii has a sponsorship agreement with I think it was Hawaiian Airlines, now it might be SoFi. They generate about $5 to $10 million by naming the basketball court and volleyball court after a sponsor. So I'm thinking, why can't we do the same thing for our Blaisdell? And then take the money, put that towards the sewer fees. But I'm trying to get creative because I'm really concerned about families. You know, I'm a low water user and my water bill and sewer bill is about $150 a month. Can you imagine a family of 4 or 5, right? You got kids coming home playing sports, you need to shower and whatnot. You know, that really, really concerns me. The other thing that we're working on, you know, the city has to site a new landfill. That is really concerning. The current spot is over an aquifer. You know, the council took a position against putting it over an aquifer, but really there's limited sites that we can actually do this on this island. The legislature a few years ago passed a bill saying that you cannot put a landfill within 1/2 mile of people, which limits the areas we could actually site a new landfill. They're currently considering changing that to 1/4 of a mile, which is interesting, which will open up more spots. However, I don't know if you want to be 1/4 mile away from a landfill. Doesn't seem safe. The other thing is, thank you all. This board was very instrumental in getting amendments to the primary urban core development plan. That should be heard in April in the planning committee. So if you folks want to weigh in on that, please do. And the other thing is we're looking, I know Diamond Head has cesspools, but we got to convert them over to being on the sewer system because cesspools actually cause a lot of damage to the environment. So we're looking at ways to help people who can't afford to convert. But that's what I have, and I'm available for questions. Thank you, Chair.
Awesome. Councilmember Tommy Waters, thank you again so much for showing up in person this evening. It's always great to be able to talk to our local representatives face to face. One of the great things about living here. So thank you for making the time. We appreciate it. Love the thoughts on the EVS fees, the empty homes tax, you know, using some of that money, using the people who are making money off their investments here, using them to help pay for, you know, keeping this place running. That seems fair to me. So to the board, does anybody have any questions for Councilmember Tommy Waters?
Just one comment on the removing positions that were vacant for 3 years. The only concern that comes up is I don't want to see the vacancy for the Hawaii Police Department go down 50% only because we removed positions. I am assuming that we need those positions. So again, you know, be careful what positions you cut.
No, great point. And they have currently 435 uniform positions vacant, 435, which is really, really sad. We're looking at ways, we put money in the budget last year to as a hiring bonus for folks, but we really got to look at retention bonuses. There's a lot of police officers who could retire, and we want to be able to keep them for a few more years. But what the police chief said, though, at best, they can fill 120 of those 435 positions. So I'm thinking, you know, this is just for 1 year. They're not going to use the money anyway. I think they lapsed $14 million last year in patrol. Me and the former budget chair, Radiant Cordero, put in an extra $10 million 2 years ago for patrol. And unfortunately, they lapsed 14 million, more than the 10 million we put in. But I'm very conscious of that, sir, and we would absolutely not do it if if they're gonna fill these positions.
Anybody else on the board have any questions?
Yeah, I do. I, Mr. Chairman,
Hi, Peter.
I just wondered if Kevin Imanaka is any relationship to Mitch.
I think they're cousins.
Cousins. Okay. Thank
Yeah.
you. Just
We're getting a thumbs up on this side, Peter, so it would be confirmed.
Thank you.
You. Brian?
Hey, Tommy, Brian Wong.
Hi, Brian.
Just a comment, related to fees. It's always in the back of my mind right now about the wastewater fee that was simmering in the back burner there for a number of years now. It came out in discussion a number of years ago and it got put back in the burner, but I heard it's not dead yet and it's still just simmering in the back. So I just worry that will peak its head as more fees come about for the community. That's all. Thank you.
No, thank you, Brian. I really appreciate you bringing it up today. We're set to hear the bill. It's Bill 60, I believe on April 1st in the Budget Committee. By the way, the reason why this came about is there was a consent decree with the EPA, and it was a lawsuit filed, I think, by the Sierra Club. And because of the consent decree, we got to bring up our wastewater treatment plants to secondary treatment, and it's really expensive. It's going to be $1.8 billion actually to do that. One of the things that a bunch of local engineers actually suggested is that we, instead of going to secondary treatment, you extend the pipe way out into the dead zone, and use the money instead for a cesspool conversion. It's up to the EPA though, and the courts. I'm not sure we could actually do that, but it'd be a lot cheaper if we were to do that.
Tommy, I think I misspoke too. I meant the stormwater.
Oh, the
fee
stormwater.
that's still simmering in the background right now. And I'm just worried that that'll peak its head somewhere in the middle as more fees get put onto the community. So I don't know where that is right now, but I was just thought I'd mention it.
It's in the third drawer of my desk. I did not introduce it because I'm really concerned about that as well. We all can write off our property taxes, I guess, for our federal income tax. I mean, that's why I'm trying to find ways we can use your real property tax to pay for these bills instead of fees, because you can't write off the fee,
Perfect. Does anybody in the community have any questions for Councilmember Tommy Waters? You, sir. Please approach the microphone, introduce yourself.
Hi, evening. Hi, Tom. Paul
Hi.
Hogan here from Kahala Towers here. We live right next to the viaduct here from Ainakoa all the way to the Waiʻalae Avenue on-ramp, right? And it's like speeding on that every night. Possible to get the cameras on there like you got on Vineyard Boulevard, to stop.
If I can interrupt you for 1 second. I've actually got a letter that is already written. We are submitting that this evening, requesting, and since Councilmember Tommy Waters, I've got you here on the line as well. We are requesting that a pedestrian scramble be installed in the corner of Hunakai and Waiʻalae, and 3 red light camera setups be placed at 21st and Waiʻalae, Hunakai and Waiʻalae, and Kilauea and Waiʻalae. Because we have noticed the exact same thing too. Things are out of control. People are blowing through lights. People are speeding. It's ridiculous. So we are making our formal submission to the DOT, to the city and county, and to the state of Hawaii to get this under control, get these things installed, and increase pedestrian safety. So we are in full support on this one.
Okay, but the H1 is like a federal highway, so you can't put anything on there, right?
No, but the area underneath it.
Underneath,
is-
yeah, that would help. That would help. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great idea. It's like a racetrack. These guys will speed down H1, make a U-turn at Star of the Sea, and then race back up. I love the idea. We do have John Nauchi on, our Deputy Director of Department of Transportation Services. So he and I will work together on trying to get that done. It's not clear to me though if that is under state jurisdiction or the city right there, that first stoplight. But if it's under the city jurisdiction, I'm happy to support that.
And if we still have Lieutenant Nakamura on the line as well too, Lieutenant, if we could get some speed checkpoints set up right after the Waiʻalae off ramp right there when you're headed eastbound, I believe, that you get a lot of that speeding that occurs on that straight line.
Also, it's like as soon as they're going from Ainakoa, they're going west. It's like they're blasting all the way up until like the Waiʻalae on ramp there.
Okay.
Sir, what
Oh,
time? My memory serves me correctly. It's like after 10 o'clock, yeah?
I hear it at all times of the day. Personally,
All-
I own a business right
all-
over there, but
All times of the day. Mostly after 8 o'clock or so, you get the motorcycle guys.
Hey, Chair, this is John Nochi.
hey, John.
Hey, just wanted to touch in and say we'll start the work, but we do appreciate the support by the request. And what we would encourage everyone to do is to help us identify the specific problem at the specific intersection. What we can then do is come back and then prescribe solutions that fit and are warranted and are legal and implementable at the location. We just don't want, we appreciate you asking for specific treatments, but some of those may or may not be possible given the intersection configuration. And we just don't want anybody to be disappointed right from the start if we can't do anything that gets requested. So I'll just give my engineers a head up and we'll start the work, but appreciate the formal submission and request.
Oh yeah, don't
We'll
you
work
worry,
with-
John. I've got a big research packet that comes along with the letter, as well as a lot of testimony from several pedestrian safety groups and other experts on the matter. So we do come with a good arsenal behind us, not just
Good,
throwing
good,
out
good.
random suggestions.
Oh no, I wasn't at all
Oh, no,
implying
no.
that. I'm just
I'm just cutting your
sometimes
jib, John, don't
people
worry.
ask for a speed hump and we can't put it there, and once I tell them we can't do it there, then we've failed. So I just we definitely want to work with both this neighborhood board and Councilmember Waters to find the solution, and we've been attempting to be a little bit more adept, and so we definitely want to work with the community on this. So appreciate that.
Absolutely. Thank you, John. Perfect. Does anybody else in the community have any comments for Councilmember Tommy Waters? And then since we got you here, Kevin, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself for a quick second, since we'll be dealing with you, and looking forward to seeing you around more often.
Aloha Chair, aloha Board, Kevin Imanaka, Chief of Staff for Tommy's District, District 4. Happy to be here tonight. I was actually here last time and I heard some concerns, and we went back to my team and we proposed some budget amendments to actually address some of that. So I'll talk to you a little bit about that later, but certainly happy to be here and I look forward to working with all of you.
Thank you for taking the time this evening. And I believe that's it. Council member, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Chair.
Oh, yeah. Have a good evening. Let's see, Casey Abe. Are you here this evening?
Share my screen here. Okay, good evening, Chair Christian, members of the Waiʻalae-Kāhala Neighborhood Board. Casey Abe from the State DOT Highways Division. At last month's meeting, there was a question on when would a hot utility relocation along Nimitz Highway and Alum Water Boulevard be completed. After talking to HOT personnel, the utility work should be completed by the summer of this year with the repaving of Nimitz Highway and Alum Water Boulevard. Then the new contractor, Tudor Perini, will start construction of the city center guideway and stations, starting from Middle Street and end at South Street. The tentative completion date for this segment of the skyline is currently scheduled at the end of 2030. At last month's meeting, I mentioned that potholes have returned due to the heavy rain that we got in late January and early February. During my field inspection last week, our maintenance crew managed to patch the pothole on the Waiʻalae Avenue off-ramp, but they still need to adjust the potholes at Hunakai Street and Kiloa Avenue intersections. I'll follow up with my maintenance crew on that. Other concerns I found during my field investigations are damaged utility handhole cover near Hunakai Street intersection, trash near 19th Avenue, more graffiti, vegetation overgrowth onto the pedestrian sidewalk, and a cut lock to our security gate near the Kapakahi Stream Bridge. I'll be working with our maintenance crew to address these concerns. And finally, on February 28th, our Public Affairs Office and the local TV news announced that between March 1st and April 29th, our existing 10 red light safety cameras started mailing warning citations to the vehicle's registered owner when their vehicles exceed the posted speed limit by more than 5 miles per hour. Beginning April 30th, official speeding citations will be issued. The speeding citation is like a red light citation and is not considered a moving violation, so it should not affect your car insurance premiums. All fines will be deposited in the automated enforcement program special fund that will be used to maintain the cameras. Fines for the speeding citation is like the red light citation, with not more than $250 for the first citation, $300 for the second violation, and $500 for the third violation if committed within a 12-month period of the first violation. HDOT is seeking additional funds from the legislature to install additional cameras at signalized intersections. Since the red light camera pilot program began in 2022, HPD has issued almost 43,000 red light citations. But during a March 13th follow-up interview with KHON and our HDOT director, with the speed cameras in its second week of its warning period, the number of warning citations for speeding is staggering. Looking at motorists driving 7 miles over the posted speed limit, HPD would have issued approximately 20,000 warning citations spread across the 10 camera locations. The highest speeder was on Ward Avenue, going 88 miles per hour through a 35 mile per hour zone. Once the camera can see your vehicle at any point on the road and you are going more than 5 miles per hour over the posted speed limit, you can get cited. So when motorists are approaching signalized intersections and see the light turning yellow, they will need to consider that if they accelerate through the intersection or the light is still yellow, they may have avoided receiving a red light citation, but they may receive a speeding citation if they are driving more than 5 miles per hour over the posted speed limit. This concludes my report. I can take any questions at this time. Oh, yeah.
Thank you for that in-depth presentation. As always, Casey, it is an absolute pleasure. A couple things on my plate to you. The on-ramp from Waiʻalae getting onto the H1 headed westbound. There are several large potholes there, which it appears as though everybody who's getting onto the freeway has to avoid. I would appreciate it if we would be able to either fill in those potholes or even more so if we could just repave that entire section of road. Since the last time we've filled in a couple of potholes, it seems to continue to create an issue. So if we could repave that short section of road, basically from where the Board of Water Supply redid that section of road up into the freeway itself, I think that would help preserve people's cars a lot more.
Okay.
And then on top of that, I am formally submitting that letter that we were discussing earlier. October 4th, 2024, a gentleman by the name of Mojito, who was here 2 months ago, was hit crossing the road from going up Hunakai on the westbound side, crossing across Waiʻalae, was nailed by a truck, which was trying to make the light and didn't see him. He ended up having several life-threatening injuries and is still in a state of recovery as we speak. Him and his wife came to us and asked us to try and create a solution, try and do something. As we've heard, even in the audience this evening, that there is a lot of community support for creating some common sense measures to increase pedestrian safety and community safety in that area. There are several things that we are asking for in the letter that we are presenting, but red light cameras, pedestrian scramble, common sense pedestrian infrastructure is the basic summary of it. We had spoke last time, and then the head of the DOT that you had asked me to address the letter to. Can you give me his name one more time?
Oh, it's our director, Ed Sniffen.
One more time, please.
Ed Sniffen. Edwin is
thank
his
you.
official
Perfect.
name. To come ahead.
Wanted to double check that. Thank you. So we will be officially submitting that letter. So please be on the lookout. Since we have Councilmember Tommy Waters here, any support that we can get, please throw behind. The citizens of Kahala and Kaimuki and Waiʻalae are looking for some help here. And we keep having a reoccurring issue. Pedestrians are getting hurt time and time and time again. We have HPD records and HPD records that we're submitting along with it to help back that up and show the data and the different classes of accidents that are occurring there. So Casey, Councilmember Waters, anything that we can do to move this forward. John, on the mayor's office, please. We're asking for some help here.
Yeah, as mentioned in a previous meeting, the problem with Hunakai is that it doesn't have a protected left turn signal phase like Kilauea Avenue. I did mention it to our traffic branch, and they are looking at it, and I hope to get something back at next month's meeting to see
Excellent.
what to do about it. But I did mention to them.
Perfect. Thank you. There are no bad solutions. We just want solutions, and we would like them sooner rather than later. So thank you very much on that. Does anybody on the board have questions for Casey Abe?
Yeah, this is Lee Casting. A quick question for clarification. A lot of people do speed through red lights. With these speed cameras, would they get actually 2 tickets, one for speeding and one for going through a red light?
Yeah, if you run through the red light camera, you will get a citation. It's just that it has to be a camera has to be installed at that intersection.
Right, but would they get 2 tickets?
Oh, they'll get 2. Oh, yeah, this speeding. Oh,
Speeding
definitely
and
they'll
go
get
through
2
red light.
citations. Yes, they will have 2 citations, red light and speeding.
Good. Thank you very much.
Does anybody in the community have any questions for Casey Abe from the Department of Transportation?
Hey, Casey, good evening. I know you guys giving a lot of tickets there with the red light camera. Oh, I'm Paul Hogan from Kahala Towers again. Where does that money go to? Does that go to the state fund, or the city gets it back, or what's going on?
No, it goes back into our automated speed enforcement fund. So it helps to maintain the cameras. So it does not go back to any general fund. It goes into a special fund for the cameras itself.
I mean, that's a lot of money, right? $250 a crack, right?
Oh, that's at the most. At the most.
That's the first over 5 miles an hour. That's $250, right?
That's why right now during this warning citation, they're working with the police department to see if it should be 5 miles or should it be 7. But as I mentioned in my presentation, just going 7 miles over, we got over 20,000 citations.
Oh, you're not finding anybody yet.
No, it's just warning. It'll start
okay.
at the end of this month.
Okay, I just wanted to follow the money. Thank you.
Yeah, I think part of the real question is, with the number of citations, you probably will collect more money than what is needed for maintenance. And if that's the case, what happens to that money?
Yeah, so hopefully with the additional money, we can utilize it to expand the program and install more systems at other intersections.
Thank you.
Well, we've got 3 new locations coming up for you, Casey, so look forward to those. Please and thank you.
Sure.
Up next, Representative Tina Granadetti. Tina, you here this evening? All right. Up next, Representative Mark Hashem. Representative of Mark Hashem's office here this evening. Unsurprising. Do we have a representative from Stanley Chang's office?
Hi, everyone.
Senators.
Aloha. Good evening.
Good evening.
Are you able to hear me okay?
We are indeed.
All right. So good to see wonderful, familiar faces. My name is Zephanie Smith Eisenstadt. It's been a pleasure to join the Senator's team this session and supporting his wonderful initiatives and efforts as chair, once again, of the Housing Committee. Happy to be here. I just want to make a couple of points here. One, the legislative session is well underway. We've got staff working late tonight, getting committee reports in and things of that nature before the deadline in a few hours. If you've got questions or if members of the public are wanting to learn more about particular issues, areas of interest, or to be engaged, we certainly want to encourage you to take advantage of the public access room and avail yourself to those resources. You can also feel free to give our office a call if there are matters particularly related to the committees that Senator Chang sits on. He puts out a newsletter once a month, and I want to share our cover story with you all. $1.8 million were recently secured for the Kāhala Elementary School and the Waiʻalae Elementary Public Charter School. So we're really, really excited. Senator Chang has made some great progress with funds being released with the support of Governor Green through the Capital Improvement Projects program. And so you can read all about that. It's going to help fund the expansion of pre-kindergarten opportunities at both schools. Near and dear to my heart, you can probably hear my preschooler in the background, excited for me to be done with this. So that's the big story for the month of March, and you can read all about that. The newsletter, which you can subscribe to by visiting senatorchang.com, also features some opportunities for educational enrichment, opportunities for community engagement. Like there are some trainings coming up if you'd like to learn how to participate for the court interpreter program. They've got an orientation in a couple of weeks. Learn about Olelo, the language with History Month. There's some resources here through the library, additional information about childcare and preschool options and other just timely, resources that you can use. Hopefully, we try to attend these meetings and listen to the conversation to get an understanding on the pulse of what's important and what folks are looking for. So those are the types of things that you'll find in the district newsletter. And he also puts out every week on Wednesday a housing newsletter. So if you have issues, interests, or concerns specifically related to that, please, again, don't hesitate to get in touch. He's got a full staff there waiting to meet you and hear from you. The best way to connect, or at least the quickest way to get to Senator Chang, is by going through the senatorchang.com website, and that'll get you where you need to go, whether it's legislative or related to district-specific issues. We're always around and available to answer questions, take calls, respond to emails, things of that nature. So with that, I'll continue to listen, and if there are questions, I'm happy to answer them or take them back to the office.
Awesome. Thank you, Zephanie. I always see the senator walking around our neighborhood with his child, enjoying himself. He, a pedestrian in our neighborhood, which is currently a dangerous area, he might perhaps in his heart find a moment to rally a little bit of support, help us out here, and perhaps even help himself out too while we're at it. So you could whisper in his ear for me and hopefully get him to garner a little bit of support. That would be greatly appreciated.
I will happily relay that message. And then what specifically is the ask there? What's the opportunity there that we're
so the overall ask, I do have some specific requests, but red light cameras and pedestrian safety measures, whatever, Casey Abe and the city and county are able to provide or willing to provide, whatever they feel is the best measure. I have my specific asks, but at the end of the day, they're the ones who get to approve it and push it forward. So we just want solutions.
Absolutely. I will relay this message to the senator, and I'm sure Councilman Waters and others, if there are things that the senator can do to be supportive, he stands ready to do so. So thank you for the flag.
Perfect. Thank you. Does anybody on the board have any questions for the representative from Stanley Chang's office? Does anybody in the community have any questions for the representative from Stanley Chang's office? Casey?
Yeah, I just want to really share that if the elected officials do contact our director, it'll have a lot more a bang for their buck, because right now I do talk directly to our counterpart at the traffic branch, but if it comes from the elected officials to our director, things can happen a lot faster.
I see a path forward. I love it. Thank you, Casey. Appreciate that. All right. Well, awesome. Zephany, a pleasure to meet you. Welcome to the position. Looking forward to having more discussions with you in the future. And thank you so much for your time.
All right. Thanks for all you do. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We look forward to your calls, emails, and correspondence.
If we don't get those pedestrian safety measures, I will definitely be reaching out.
All right. Thanks. Take care, everyone.
Up next, resident community concerns. May all the members of the Kāhala Tower please stand up. Can we get the camera panned on them real quick? What a big group of voters. I mean, people that are here this evening. There it is. And I understand that we have a community issue that we have all rallied around together to formalize and ask for. You'd please introduce yourself. And
Yes, I'm Rudy Savio. I am the president of the condo board for Kāhala Towers, and our issue is the entrance from our driveway that goes onto Kilauea Avenue. That portion of Kilauea Avenue, because there's the median in the middle with landscaping, there's nowhere for people to make turns in any direction. So it's kind of like a little freeway going downhill. People drive very fast. And due to the way the road curves, when you're coming out of our driveway, there's almost no visibility. So it's kind of like a leap of faith, just hoping you're not going to get hit. At our condo board meetings every month, we have residents repeatedly express concern. And the request that we have is that we eliminate 2 street parking stalls. 1 would be good, 2 would be better, to improve the visibility for people exiting from our driveway on the Mauka side of our Kilauea Avenue entrance.
sounds like a very reasonable ask, and a lot of people feel very strongly about this evening. I myself was invited by Andrea Fagan and met with your last name one more time? With Mr. Leong over here. Went down to the site myself. John and I walked around, watched it for a minute. I went back later that afternoon to take my lunch and have a sip of refreshing water while I watched the cars whiz by and watched at least one accident almost occur. The ask that they're asking for seems extremely reasonable to me. There is not enough visibility, which is very clear. I invite any and all interested parties to come down and inspect it themselves. But a pushback, as you're asking for, of 2 car lengths, 40 feet, seems reasonable. Painting the red stripe along the curb there, and then having HPD enforce it steadily, because people will break it at first until we make sure that it's kind of a reoccurring thing, I think seems more than reasonable. I, for one, would like to issue a resolution on behalf of the board in support of this Kāhala Towers resolution, where we push back the current no parking space 40 feet if, what would that be? 40 feet northbound, I believe, north or eastbound, to allow for a safer community and allowing this tower, which houses 233 units, a little bit more safety and just the ability to pull out of their residence in the day. Can I get a second? I've got a second from Lee. All in favor, please raise your hands. It passes unanimously. Congratulations. We've done it, ladies and gentlemen. But so that would be City
Christian?
County, correct? Yep.
Christian.
Oh, and John,
Yeah.
yes.
Just a question, would a speed bump further up help slow down the cars too? You thought about that?
I actually think that might be helpful as well, because people do tend to speed in that area. Like I said, it's downhill and there's no one making turns except for our driveway. So you know, I drive down that way myself, and if I didn't
priority. If possible, throw in a speed bump. Paint is easy, asphalt's a little bit harder. You, sir.
I'll do them one better. Make it a bulb out and then make that a speed table with the crosswalk on it, because I mean everybody that lives here knows that everybody just crosses the street freely because there's no crosswalk over there. And so putting a marked crosswalk might give a proper place for everybody to cross over there instead of doing it every which way they want.
Seems also like a common ask. We're getting a lot of common sense around here tonight, folks. This is amazing. So a crosswalk, a speed bump, and some no parking pushback for the residents of the Kāhala Towers. Please and thank you. Does anybody else from Kāhala Tower have anything that they'd like to say? Brian, I see you picking up the mic.
Thank you, Christian. I just wanted to make a comment that it should be similar. A similar distance is already at the Kāhala Nui area, which allows similar visibility for ingress and egress there. Again, there's a number of cars, number of residents, and thus similar situation at Kāhala Towers. I would see that there would be strong support to get this done. Yeah.
Excellent. We love it. There's already a precedent. Let's bring it all the way home. So we'll get that resolution sent off to the interested parties, and we will follow up again next month if we do not see any progress at that point. But we will keep this on our docket until it is resolved. Let's see. Up next, Tina Grandetti, I saw that you walked in. Would you like to update the community on what's going on? You did, but we can jump back.
About that. It's a filing deadline at in the house tonight, so we had Zippy's dinner. Let's see. Okay. Representative Grandinetti, I represent House District 20. We are just over halfway through the legislative session. I sit on the committees of Transportation and Housing and Finance. I have 4 of my bills still moving after crossover. I'm really excited. I think that's pretty good for a freshman legislator. All of them are related to housing. 2 of them focus on strengthening protections for renters. Those 2 were actually just featured in an HPR article. One of them is about setting a standard for how tenants should be treated when they're displaced by 201H projects, which I feel like we've talked about in this neighborhood board before. I'm really proud of those. And the other 2 focus on supporting and expanding models of community ownership so that we can keep more local homes in local hands. As a vice chair of the Committee on Transportation, I'm really pleased that we have moved out a bill focusing on creating a regulatory structure for e-bikes, which I know is a huge thing in Kāhala and Kaimuki. It would prohibit wheelies, which is a win. And it's moving along. We're also moving through several vehicles to increase dedicated funding to Safe Routes to School, which is one of our best programs for, upgrading sidewalks, creating bike paths, and things like that. So positives there. Let's see what else. Last week, we passed out the House draft of the state budget. And as I'm sure you all know, given the federal context, that has been a really complicated process because we feel like we're doing it blind. 20 to 30% of our state budget is dependent on federal funds. So we are crafting a budget that we don't, in a context that we don't know how much money we will have and how many cuts we'll be facing. One of the key things in the budget is a $20 million set aside for our rainy day fund, which is something that made me feel a little unsure at first because to me, it's raining right now. But best practice is to set aside 10% of your annual budget in a rainy day fund. Other states do that. We've been trying to build it up for years, but COVID and now these federal cuts, it keeps raining. So one thing that has made me feel better about the whole thing is that the House and the Senate last week agreed to set aside 3 dates for special sessions. So the legislative session ends in May. Usually we don't come back until January, but we have agreed to come back potentially in August and then again in September and November, I believe. And this will give us an opportunity to sort of act when we have more information. So once the federal budget gets set, we can come back and potentially reallocate those 400 or that $200 million, maybe reopen up the grant and aid process so that nonprofits that have been affected by loss in federal grants will have some state support, and then, address whatever other issues have arisen in that time. And yeah, we're really keeping an eye out for cuts to Medicaid, our university, our DOE school system. We have like 96,000 students that are reliant on Title I funds. So all of these are kind of big things we're looking out for. And we are already seeing cuts to our libraries, our food banks, and school meal programs. And we already have so many federal workers and nonprofit workers who've been impacted. So it's been a lot this first session, but I feel reassured, and I hope that the public does too, that we are committing to coming back and doing the work when we have more information. I think that's about it for me, but open for any questions.
A quick question involving the electric bicycles.
Mhm.
So as somebody with a motorcycle license, when I got my bike, I was required to do a 3-day intensive training course, 3 full days on site at LCC. I have specialized insurance. I have to pay all these additional things. The capability and performance of my motorcycle versus a lot of these new e-bikes,
Yeah.
there's not really any difference.
Yeah. So, go ahead. Sorry.
So I was going to say, why am I sort of being treated differently when I see all these e-bikes being sold for, very cheap? These kids are getting their hands on it and they're driving very dangerously. And how are we going to enforce that?
Well, there are kind of several e-bike bills moving through, but the omnibus bill and a couple others are really trying to get at those. They're going to be 3 tiers of e-bikes, and then an additional class of vehicles called a high-speed electric device, which will be banned from the roads. And those are the ones that are, there's no clear distinction between how they operate versus how a motorcycle operates. And then so for each of the tiers, there'll be varying restrictions. But another key element is one of the bills includes a requirement for a written road test, which, is not the same as a 3-day course, but it is kind of at least some requirement for people who, some requirement to ensure that people who are using these e-bikes know the rules of the road, which doesn't exist currently. And then other provisions are no one under the age of 16 on e-bikes, because that's, another huge issue. And for the insurance thing, we did consider a bill requiring insurance for the tier 3 e-bikes, but there are currently no insurance products. So if we require without that being available on the insurance market, we're putting people in a bad position. So we're holding off on that.
There's one thing I do know about insurance companies. They do love money. So
Yeah.
I'm sure they could be
It's a matter of time, I'm sure. Yeah.
Interesting. So they'll be issued a license when they do the written test?
I can't quite remember the detail of that bill. I think we're trying not to demand a driver's license, right? But you have to pass a road test in order to. I'm sorry, I can get back to you on that one.
No worries. My hope is just that if they do violate, there is some sort of punitive action, just besides a simple fee, a revocation of a license, something a little bit more serious, because they are everywhere right now.
And we're trying to strike a balance between like promoting micromobility and making sure that people have access, but also making sure that when they have access, they know how to behave on the roads.
Absolutely. Well, perfect. Glad to hear that you guys are doing something about that. Thank you. Anybody else on the board have any questions?
Yeah, Tina, I just like to ask, what about the scooters, the skateboard, the electric skateboard scooters? Because I see them just speeding along on sidewalks and, bike lanes, wherever they can go. Actually, I see more of them than I see of the e-bikes.
Mhm.
And there's going to be some really horrendous injuries because those scooters, electrified scooters, will be smashing into pedestrians who are just using the sidewalk.
Yeah, I hear you on that one. I think again, I can get back to you on the specifics, but we are trying to kind of carve out the distinctions between all of these new, I mean, an electric scooter is not necessarily a new technology, but like these new road users that are coming out in such huge numbers. Yeah. And so one of the bills specifically creates a category for those like individual devices like scooters or those one wheel, like, you know what I'm talking, like those hoverboard looking things. Yeah.
You. Does anybody else on the board have any questions? Does anybody in the community have any questions for Representative Grandinetti? Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for making
Thank
it
you.
at the last second. Appreciate it. All right, going back to residents' community concerns. Do we have any other residents in the community, outside of the community, with concerns for the Kahala Waiʻalae neighborhood area? Going once, going twice. Oh, you miss? Please introduce yourself.
Andrea Fagan, Kahala Towers. There's quite a few homeless people with dogs now, and some of them are in the area where Kahala Towers is. There's several really vicious dogs, and sometimes they're off leash. So I feel like it's a real hazard. I don't know how to rein that in, but I just want to express a concern about that because the people standing in the medial strip along Kilauea Avenue for handouts have a lot of those dogs. When you cross the street, I have a dog, so I walk my dog, and I've been attacked or almost attacked a few times. And so I don't know what the laws, if the laws are different in that respect. But I just want to express a concern there because it's getting kind of scary to walk around, especially in that intersection, but all around that area.
Absolutely, no, an excellent concern. Rich, perhaps you can provide legal but not your attorney.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, no charge for legal advice. But there's a leash law. So the most impactful, effective mode would be calling 911 and asking a police officer to come down and cite that individual for violation of the leash law. And if there's enough violations, the ASPCA will get involved too. I mean, they have officers who help enforce, misbehavior of dog owners. So I know it's a pain, but the most effective thing would be calling a police officer, and a patrol officer will come out and cite the individual who has not leashed the dog.
That'll be $300. Right?
Hey, Christian, just a comment. I do want to say that I have witnessed that happening at the intersection of Kilauea and Waiʻalae several times, actually. And to the point, it is a issue there. And yes, leash law, 911, as best we can. I don't know what else can be done legally. But I guess I just want to say, yes, I have witnessed it myself there, and it is an issue for sure.
Thank you very much for bringing this to our attention too. I think it's something that we've all noticed repeatedly, and there are, I think, 3 or 4 individuals that we all know to be the repeat offenders So, my personal opinion, inability to provide care is neglect, and neglect is a form of abuse. That's animal abuse. One would think, one would hope, but perhaps Representative Grandinetti, we can provide some support for animal rights in our great district by ensuring that those who are unable to provide care properly to animals and lack the resources to provide the means of care and support that these animals deserve, have those animals removed from their care, especially if it's an issue of public health and safety, not just for the animal themselves, but the people living in direct and nearby contact with them. Oh, perfect. And we have Senator Stanley Chang's support on the matter of pedestrian safety already. Perfect. But thank you so much for bringing this to our attention. Do we have any other community concerns that need to be addressed? Oh, you, sir. Please introduce yourself again.
I'm Dalen Cam. On the matter of pedestrian safety, actually, to the crosswalk crossing Malia Street at the corner of Malia and Hoakoa, that is a no parking zone on the bridge. But I have noticed a lot that people, they don't really park there because they know it's a no parking zone, but they kind of just wait there. I don't know if they're like parents of kids that are at the baseball games over there, but there's a lot of people that just kind of sit and wait there. I know Freeway Service Patrol actually does in the morning too. But yeah, people just wait on the bridge, and I cross that street every day, and it does block my view, especially if it's like a really big truck that's over there. And so I kind of have to step out into the street and kind of like peer around the car. And sometimes, they see me and they panic and then they slam on their brakes. And so it would be nice if, I don't know if that's HPD's job to just make sure that people aren't parking on that bridge. Sometimes they park all the way up to like the very crosswalk. So yeah.
That was Malia Street, you said?
Malia, the corner of Malia and Hoakoa.
Awesome. Thank you. Right?
I've seen that too. That is an issue, and I think it's due to the recreation at the park. I've actually seen not just sitting and waiting, but I've actually seen park on the bridge with the sign right there. It says no parking on the bridge. Yeah, it is an issue with regards to that as well.
Well, let's see if we can bring that to HPD's attention, get some tickets, get some people off that bridge. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Do we have any additional community concerns that have not been addressed yet? Tina? Oh, sorry, Tina, can you speak into the microphone just so everybody else online can hear?
On Rich's question. So the omnibus bill defines electric micromobility device and requires the same regulations as electric foot scooters to apply to all of these new emerging technologies. So they're incorporated in.
Thank you for getting that answer to us so quickly. Up next is Jim Hayes here. Evening, Mr. Hayes. Please introduce yourself on the microphone and explain why we are graced with your presence this evening.
Excuse me, my name is Jim Hayes with Planning Solutions. I'm going to share my screen real quick. I'm here tonight to present special management area permit projects. These are residential projects in your district that require special management area permits from the city council. And one of the prerequisites of submitting an application is to do a presentation to the neighborhood board. So that's why I'm here tonight. The board doesn't have to take any action, but I'm here to answer questions and get community feedback on these projects. So there's two projects, just happen to be working on two projects that are very close to each other at the same time. They're different owners, they're different projects, but they're only separated by one parcel. They're both along Kāhala Avenue. This drawing shows the zoning. So that's like the R-7.5, R-5, those are the zones. And then the cross-hatched area is the special management area, which is all of the parcels on the Mackay side of Kahala Avenue. These two parcels are in the R5 zone. So for whatever reason, that one area of Kahala Avenue is zoned R5 and most of Kahala is zoned R75. I don't know why, but that's just the way it is. And it's coming. There we go. So this is an early photograph of the project area just to illustrate what it looks like today. Project 1 in red is part of a joint development agreement. So the owner of project 1 is also the owner of the house on the shoreline lot. So those two lots are jointly developed. Then project 2 on parcel 4 in yellow, that site has been neglected and overgrown for quite a long period of time. I'm representing the new owner that plans to develop a residence there. One of the principal concerns in the special management area is sea level rise. This figure shows the hazard areas associated with sea level rise up to 3.2 feet of sea level rise. These two project areas are outside of those hazard zones. I don't know if people are familiar with this, but you can download these on the website that's shown there in blue. But the lines are associated with shoreline erosion as sea level rises, and then the color is associated primarily with high wave action as sea level rises. But it's good that these two projects are outside of those hazard areas. I'm going to zoom in on the projects themselves. Project 1 involves this currently undeveloped area, landscaped area. I think it was used as sort of a small putting green by the owner. And now they want to develop a single family house with roughly 2,000 square feet of floor area. And that's in the sort of turquoise color near the top left of the parcel. And a swimming pool in the blue dashed line there in the middle of the parcel, and a barbecue area on the Mackay side or bottom part of the parcel there. So it's relatively simple, modest proposal, and it complies with all applicable plans, policies, and controls. So no variances are necessary. And the second project, a couple parcels to the east, a little more substantial in the fact that they want to have 2 dwelling units on the property. The one on the street side or the upper part of the parcel is a 2-level house with roughly 6,800 square feet of floor area. And then a 1-level house on the Mackay side with roughly 3,000 square feet of floor area. And like the other project, this project also complies with all applicable plans, policies, and controls. So no variances are necessary. So that's the end of my presentation, and I'm here for more questions if you have any. But these projects are relatively straightforward residential projects, and probably familiar with them. Similar proposals coming to you in the past.
Do you see any potential negative externalities pouring in over onto the community from the development of these projects?
I do not know. The projects will be developed in a manner that complies with all the plans, policies, and controls, and also with flood controls, because it is a flood zone. So the residences will be raised slightly so that they're not so prone to flooding. But these these proposals are consistent with other development in the neighborhood. And we don't see any substantial or even, it would only be negligible kind of effects. And only then to the neighbors.
And the second parcel, the overgrown one, that is the new owner, so not the person who let it go into decay?
That's right. Yeah.
Perfect.
So there's a new owner, and people may not remember, but we looked at old photographs of this site, and in the 60s and 70s, there was a nice home there. It's just been quite a while since there's been any activity there.
Thank them for developing the parcel for us, please.
Just, Jim, so you have to go to the city council because it's so near the shoreline. I'm not,
Correct.
that's why you have to do
Yeah,
that.
that's right. So there's very specific rules about when we need to do an SMA major, which is what these are.
Right. So the second question, and what's the square footage of the two properties?
They're both around 25,000 square feet.
Both are, okay, all right. And they, one is just going to have a home and then that barbecue area and a pool, and the other one is going to have two homes. Well,
Two homes.
you know, it seems very much in keeping with what we like to think of, you know, Kahala as a lot of green area and not full of condominium projects
Right,
like
right.
some other developers have presented. This is much more preferable than some of the others that have come before us. Thank you.
Do you want to come up? Oh, she's asking about the beach access, and no, it will not affect the beach access. So they're very, very specific about that, and is another substantial subject that we address in the special management area application. So this project 2, will have a driveway off of, I'm assuming it'll have a driveway off of Kahala Avenue, and then they'll also have a driveway to the second house off of the beach access driveway. But they're not allowed to have like construction staging and things like that in the beach access right away.
You wouldn't happen to have renderings of the home's design, would you?
Not yet, but we will have those soon, and they'll probably be part of the application. So in the future, after we submit these applications to DPP, DPP will hold a public hearing. So the residents within, I think, 300 feet of these projects will be receiving notices of that hearing. And we'll do a presentation like this again at that hearing. And then assuming DPP recommends that these permits be approved, they'll go to the city council. There'll be a hearing at the zoning committee and then of the full council.
Marvelous. Unless anybody has any other comments, I think we're all good here. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Up next, board business. We have a resolution to consider alternatives to the Complete Streets Kilauea Avenue roadway improvement plan. Right? Sure. Yep. Oh, sorry, Jim, you dropped your cell phone, I believe.
All right, Christian, thank you. So created a resolution here. As regards to or referencing the Complete Streets program as it relates to Kilauea Avenue. Saw the presentation early last year, I think by the Complete Streets people. And since that time, we've had conversations or we've looked at some of the thoughts that are being put into the design for Complete Streets. And I'd like to present this resolution for consideration, the Waiʻalae-Kāhala Neighborhood Board Resolution for the City and County of Honolulu Complete Streets program to consider alternatives to the Kilauea Avenue roadway improvements that does not include eliminating traffic lanes on Kilauea Avenue. And as written here, whereas the Complete Streets Kilauea Avenue roadway improvement plan, AKA the presentation as presented on the September 28, 2023 Kilauea Avenue Complete Streets Community Virtual Meeting and at the January 18, 2024 Waiʻalae-Kāhala Neighborhood Board Meeting lacks a holistic approach to achieve a safe, convenient, and accessible street for all users, pedestrians, bicyclists, and vehicles, and is deficient of complete contextual information. And whereas the road diet feasibility road comparison with Kamehameha 4 Road, Hamakua Drive, and Ala Napuanani are not comparable roadways, as Kilauea Avenue has a wide landscape median for a significant length of the roadway, and the other roadways do not, along with other non-comparable features. And whereas with the exception of about 600 feet of sidewalk on the Mauka end of Kilauea Avenue that actually does not need widening, the presentation lacks pedestrian sidewalk widening design for pedestrians who regularly are forced to walk or jog on the street to avoid oncoming pedestrian groups, creating a safety hazard. And whereas the 10 bus stops along Kilauea Avenue are not identified in the presentation to show the impact of these boarding areas with the elimination of traffic lanes. And whereas the street parking utilization study conducted on a weekday morning and midday, as shown in the presentation, is flawed, as it fails to consider multifamily parking use at night and parking use on the weekends during recreation activities at area community parks. And whereas reducing the number of traffic lanes could imperil the community, as a large population of the Waiʻalae-Kāhala residents live in a tsunami evacuation zone or extreme tsunami evacuation zone, and that Kilauea Avenue is recognized as a vital roadway out of these zones as shown by the leaving tsunami hazard area sign. And whereas the Honolulu Complete Streets right-of-way widths for planned street improvements, November 2021, minimum requirements show that there is existing curb-to-curb width 32 feet required for existing vehicle lanes, one parking lane and one bike lane each way on Kilauea Avenue as informally measured in January of 2024. And whereas the buffered bike lane as presented is disjointed and not consistent with other existing and proposed bicycle facilities in the Waiʻalae-Kāhala community of bike lanes and shared roadways as shown in the Honolulu Complete Streets Oahu Bike Plan, December 2019. Be it resolved that the Waiʻalae-Kāhala Neighborhood Board number 3 does not support the Complete Streets Kilauea Avenue roadway improvement plan with the reduction of traffic lanes as presented. Be it further resolved that the Complete Streets Kilauea Avenue roadway improvement plan design must include more pedestrian safety features such as speed bumps, improved lighting and crossing features at pedestrian crossings, raised crosswalks, and wider sidewalks. Be it further resolved that a design be created and presented with the aforementioned safety features and no reduction of traffic lanes. And be it finally resolved that the Waiʻalae-Kāhala Neighborhood Board requests that copies of this resolution be distributed to the City Department of Design and Construction, City Department of Facility Maintenance, City Department of Planning and Permitting, City Department of Transportation Services, City Council Member Tommy Waters, State Representative Mark Asham. This needs to be updated here. State Representative Tina Garati, State Senator Stanley Chang, and other appropriate officials. I ask for your support on the neighborhood board of passing this resolution as written here, with the exception of the correction to the last line there. And add on to the mayor, you're correct, yes.
I so moved. I so move the passage of this resolution, and commend the author, Brian Wong, for a very well analyzed and thoughtful resolution, which I think will be helpful for the city and county.
Before we vote on the matter, I would like to take a moment, pause. We actually have two residents here who live on Kilauea. I would be interested in your guys' thoughts on this. I would like your feedback, if at all possible.
Aloha, Chris Maka, and I am a resident that lives on the corner of Kilauea Avenue and Pueo. So we do see a lot of problems with pedestrians just trying to cross the street. And even with traffic lights and everything else, cars come flying through. I think we saw a couple of months ago, people actually coming and asking us to maintain both lanes because they treat Kilauea Avenue as a bypass road for those coming from East Honolulu. Whenever there's a traffic jam, they get off at the Waiʻalae off-ramp and come flying through our neighborhood. So my son and I and our neighbors walk very regularly, and at least once a month almost get hit. And it doesn't matter if the lights are red. It doesn't matter if you put, reduce speeds because they're flying through. And I'd love to see the red light speeding cameras on those intersections because people are just not paying attention. So this resolution, I appreciate that it asks for more consideration on concepts. I would just hope that it doesn't shut down any of the efforts for complete streets consideration. I'm not opposed to reducing the number of lanes, just again, because we see the level of traffic and people using it as a bypass road. But if complete streets can come up with other solutions that will protect our pedestrians and bike riders, because I don't know how you can get safer bike lanes without reducing the width of the lanes there. But if you can do that, then that's fine. Willing to participate and be active in that discussion on what those alternatives would be.
Thank you for your candid feedback. We appreciate
Yep,
that.
mahalo.
Can I comment? Yeah, just to kind of address your concern. Yeah, the problem with the speeding will be reduced by putting, speed bumps, better pedestrian lanes, greater having the red lights, the cameras with the red lights, the issuing of speeding tickets for speeding, all of that. But the reduction to one lane is not going to help the speeding problem. I think it also the reduction of the width of the lanes would also reduce speeding. But I mean, it's anecdotal, but my observation going through a lot of cities where they have reduced lanes in thoroughfares, it actually, it's been reported by other cities, increases the speeding because people want to get the access to that lane and use the available lane and use it quickly. And they will actually speed up rather than if you have two lanes, the cars will be a little bit more quiescent because they know they can get to where they want. But the particular problem with Kilauea is Kilauea Avenue, like it or not, is except after Waiʻalae Avenue, obviously, is the main thoroughfare that people in Kahala use. The way it goes, both north-south, east-west, the fact that the Kahala Mall is on it and other malls and the major park, the Kahala Park. So it is the major thoroughfare, and it is also the major evacuation thoroughfare too. So God forbid, if there's a tsunami and a fire, this will be the way that people will escape the danger. And one of the problems with horrible Lahaina fire, where there was, over 100 fatalities, was because the evacuation lanes were blocked there weren't enough evacuation lanes, only one lane streets. So you really need to have Kilauea with the, with the 2 lanes so people can get out in the event of an emergency and a tragedy like what happened in Lahaina can be avoided.
So I appreciate your points. I think I am involved in community development. It's not on. Can you hear me now? The green light is on. Okay, there you go. So I am involved in community development and studying complete streets types of concepts and revitalization. What we've seen is you can't always put speed bumps everywhere. The challenges with neighborhoods is you really can't have a speed bump across all the driveways. So that won't always be feasible. And on top of that, it creates a lot of noise for the people there as people will still go flying over those bumps. And so in some streets, it's caused structural problems as well, just with heavy vehicles hitting those bumps. So you could use it where it makes sense. It won't solve all of the problems. I think when you look at the types of bike lanes that they're proposing, if you're talking about an evacuation zone, they're not putting up bollards. So if you have an evacuation, you can certainly use the bike lanes and create 2 widths in that type of emergency. So what I've seen at Alanapulani, yes, they don't have a median strip, but their bike lanes are not bollarded off. They're just painted stripes. And the people I know that live there said it is miraculously safer. And a lot of bicyclists now and pedestrians are coming back to the streets. When you look at what they did in DC, New Zealand, and other countries where they have bike lanes established, and even in Auckland, I travel and I'm supposed to be there on vacation, but I'm taking tons of pictures because of the community development concept. All of the streets now went from 4 lanes, 2 lanes in each way, down to 1 lane. And this is a 2 million population city. And there aren't those issues with speeding. The people are back, the pedestrians, the bikes are using the lanes. What you find is the drivers start to walk more or use alternate multimodal transportation. And they know this is not the fast route through. I think that's the concern we have is Kilauea also has a preschool, it has an elementary school, a middle school, a regional park, and a community college. So a lot of people are also crossing those areas. So I get it that cars want to get through there, but it is a community street. So again, I would put bicycles and pedestrian safety at a premium as well. Otherwise, our families are just not safe.
So it sounds like you're very well versed on this concept and its application into other areas and these different approaches. In your honest, candid opinion, does this resolution make sense to you?
I think, like I said, the idea of considering alternatives, if we can be open-minded and really look at what works and what doesn't work and get the community involved in, what happens to the people living there. If I had a speed bump in front of my house, would that solve all my problems? It's that type of interaction. So to the extent that you're asking for dialogue and consideration, that's great. I just wouldn't want to delay any of the improvements we could have just by studying this to death. So sorry, just being very candid about it.
And that's what we want. Brian, do you remember when Complete the Street said that they would be rolling out this program?
I thought the timeline, something was going to happen in 26, but if I'm not mistaken, Chair Waters mentioned that it got pushed back, and I don't know what the time frame now. It's been pushed back.
So we have a little bit of time
I
then.
believe so.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the original I thought was 26, but Chair Waters said that even has been pushed back.
Okay.
I don't have a date though. I don't know.
Would you be okay retooling this resolution to sort of open it up to explore more of a community-based sort of communication and getting a little bit more feedback?
Well, I think what I'm asking here is not to stop the complete streets plan. It's just that come up with a design that incorporates more pedestrian centric, more more safety features for pedestrians and just find alternatives, an alternative design to just simply eliminating these, the lanes of traffic. I'm not, that's why I put the words in here, that alternatives. And they've just come up with one straight design. My thought is based on what was the information that was presented was limited, and to the points that I put in here, that they can come up with an alternative design.
Yes, we do have other Kilauea residents here. I'm talking about you folks at Kahala Towers. How do you folks feel about Kilauea being compressed into one lane each direction rather than two lanes? I mean, you're going to be impacted by that, living on Kilauea Avenue. How do you folks feel?
Well, I don't live along Kilauea Avenue, but I know you expressed your concern about evacuation and the movement of people, and that would be, I guess, what they would call a level of service issue. I don't I Every time I go over there, and obviously everybody's speeding, but I don't believe that reducing it to 2 lanes would create a significant bottlenecking issue, especially that it's not a significant distance as in places like Lahaina, where you'd have to go miles and miles before you reach a street that has like a higher level of service, like Waiʻalae Avenue or the H1. But I would be highly opposed to keeping Kilauea Avenue as 4 lanes because it's really not necessary. And reducing that lane would also create a significant amount of space for bike lanes, or as you said, a widened sidewalks. So I guess I'm not per se against the entire resolution to reconsider, as obviously it lacked certain things like, traffic calming and widened pedestrian walkways. But I am highly against the keeping the status quo of having 4 lanes. And to your point of speeding, it is a studied psychological phenomenon where narrower lanes do make people slow down. Case in point, the H1 freeway by the Vineyard off ramp. That's where the lane's narrow and everybody slows down and traffic bottlenecks. Yeah.
And I just like to say, I look down on Kilauea Avenue when there's a broken water main along Kalanianaʻole. And it's hours and hours of traffic backed up all the way along Kilauea and every other place that feeds into Ainahaina and going out that direction. And I can't imagine narrowing it down to 1 lane, looking at the traffic and the amount of hours that people spend in traffic, which happens a lot, more than it should. But we all know that the water mains along Kalanianaʻole or whatever gets broken out there creates so much backup that, you can see the headlights when the sun goes down and people are still along Kealoʻolu, along Kilauea. So I can see modifications on the other side of Kilauea going towards Waikiki, because that's a much less used portion of the road. But with the elementary school, with the preschools, with everything else that's along the Ainahaina side of Kilauea, it doesn't make sense to me to narrow that down. That's my opinion.
Just for clarification, the current Complete Streets program maintains 2 lanes all the way until the Kahala Elementary, until right after Kahala Elementary. And then it changes to 1 lane there. Okay. Personally, I think that's a little too soon. Where I think that they can go one lane is probably in front of the intermediate school where you can't, the lanes are so narrow already and you can't even see the lines, and most people just drive in the middle anyway. Making that one lane and adding safety programs for other students. Yeah, but I just want to make it clear.
I'll just say on behalf of Kahala Towers as well, I did look at that complete streets thing and noticed that there was one fatality in the last so many years. I know that that fatality was a resident of Kahala Towers who was out walking her dog. I mean, like Andrea, we do have a lot of residents with dogs who walk in that area. So I think the pedestrian safety improvements are of great importance. That woman who was hit, she was out walking her dog at night and it was a speeding car that ran through that red light by Kahala Mall. So strongly supportive of pedestrian safety improvements.
One thing I think this might want to include is in the plan itself, the speeding lights. To be included, because I think everybody can agree the biggest problem is speeding on that road. And there's some other behavioral problems when the people turn too, but I think it could include those.
Thank you, Lee. And Casey Abe chimed in. He said that the roads will be redone, or the program will occur when the next resurfacing project occurs in that area. So knowing the way government works here, we got a little bit of time before something occurs. So, well, we had a call to vote. Do we have anybody else who wanted to weigh in?
So one thing I forgot to mention, I don't know why it wasn't put in the plan, but I know there was something mentioned about the bus stops. They could implement a floating bus stop, which basically allows a waiting area for transit riders while also keeping the bike lane, so you don't have to walk across. I know they know about that because it's in the Keomoku Complete Streets plan, but just about that.
Hi, Keenan Kinimaka, resident who lives on Kilauea Avenue. I just wanted to add that Kilauea is kind of unique in these examples, just because I would say most of the people that are speeding are probably not Hawaii residents, because this is where most tourists coming from Waikiki going to Hawaii Kai and back, in their fancy rentals, they're just running red lights. They don't care. They're on vacation. So regarding, like, say, the red lights or the cameras, I think that's great, but I would prefer road dieting, because these people, it's not as if they really care. And you can issue them a ticket or citation after the fact, but again, this should be focused on pedestrian safety. Anyway, that's all I have.
Thank you all for more.
Oh, Kahala Towers again. Anyway, but aren't they gonna have the rail all the way to Kahala Mall? Oh, it's not working out there? Oh, okay. Yeah. They got a plan for it. Oh, anyway, but I agree with Andrea. When there's a traffic accident on Kalani Highway, boy, those people are backed up for miles and miles and long, long time. So I just don't think it's a good plan to shut down a lane from the elementary school up to 18th Avenue or so.
Thank you for that.
One more thing I forgot to mention, I'm surprised it wasn't put in, but to the point of running red lights, why have a red light in the first place? Why don't you just put a roundabout? Because, yeah.
All right. Thank you for that. So we have a call to vote. We have a second. Am I correct in that? Pardon? Okay, perfect. I'm in full agreement with that. Brian, are you okay with that? Sorry, Lee, can you use the microphone?
Use the microphone, but I'm just saying, if there's not a second, we can't have, I made the motion to pass this. but there's no second. Has to be a second for a vote.
I'm in agreement that a few modifications I think could be made. And like the community as well, Sylvia. Okay. All right, so we will modify this a little bit and then bring it forward on the next meeting. We need to approve the previous meeting minutes. Do we have any corrections made, Sylvia?
Yeah, I got it. I got Sylvia's edits. It's just I added Lacey.
I make a motion to pass with Sylvia's additions and modifications.
Seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Perfect. Thank you. Announcements. Our next regular meeting will be April 17th here at the Waiʻalae Golf Course Clubhouse. We appreciate you guys showing up this evening. We would love to see you guys again. It's been lively. It's been fun. And you guys want to do it again, make it a regular monthly thing. A little glass of wine. Let's have some fun.
We were looking for a place in the community, maybe Kāhala Towers rec room.
I
Could be
actually,
our meeting.
I apologize.
venue.
There is a correction. We will be meeting at Pakehale, right across the street from Kapiolani Park, for the next meeting, which is our previous old location that we transferred back here, and then now it sounds like we're transferring back just for one time, and then we're coming back here. So we like to keep you on your toes. Okay, sorry. The City and County of Honolulu and Hawaii Food Bank are partnering up to fight against hunger. Neighborhood Assistant Anson Wu will be collecting donated canned goods at the next meeting. Please bring cans. We'd love to feed those who need it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all so much for coming this evening. I would like to adjourn the meeting. Do I get a second? Oh, never mind. We're adjourned. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chair.